So in today's episode, we have Justin Brien. Justin is a speaker, author, father, and all great human being. Justin's message is clear, which is to be kind to anyone and everyone you meet, and maybe a world can be a better place. We listened to you on the Invisible Scars podcast, and you talk about your addiction issues and alcohol and drugs, which we can go into later, but we wanted to get into what led down the path in the first place. Boom.
Well, that's a pretty loaded question there. It's
my guy with the fucking intros.
No, it's my fault.
It's a heavy intro. But sorry, mate. Sorry to interrupt. Yeah.
You look blurry.
Probably got a shit camera compared to you.
No, we've got a good camera. He's just got shit internet connection. Are we still blurry?
Yeah.
Fuck.
Do you guys do video?
No.
First time. So it doesn't matter about the video. Oh. Okay. Sorry. Do you want to start again?
Nah, fuck it. Let's go.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks for the introduction. Yeah. I guess it started from a young age, man. I battled low self-esteem, low self-worth, and low self-confidence, and I took those feelings and rode with them. I tried to be a people pleaser my whole life. I tried to act out and try to be the funny man in high school and junior high to try to get everybody to like me and notice me. And, I tried to get my self-worth validated through other people. I tried to get them to laugh at me, laugh with me. And, I made fun of myself. I always pointed out if I did something wrong, I made sure I pointed it out to get a rise out of the boys. And, I kind of rode with that. And, I didn't know that I was battling those insecurities. And what do you do when you have insecurities that you don't know about? Well, you mask them, right? And I ended up masking them with alcohol later in life. I didn't drink much in high school, but when I got out of high school and I moved away to play junior hockey, I was living on my own, and I was 19 years old, and I picked up the bottle and I found what it gave me. It battled those insecurities, it battled those demons, and it filled up my soul, it filled up that emptiness I had, and but it drained me in other ways, right? It gave me all these feelings of confidence, self-worth, and I didn't know it was all fake feelings, right? And it kind of went from there. It just kind of started a downward spiral of alcohol misuse to at 24 I did cocaine for the very first time, and my buddy told me I was funny, and all of a sudden, boom. Alcohol, cocaine, gonna make me Superman. But I'm pretty sure I'm the only one that thought I was Superman at that point. I was burning bridges, which is funny because talking about bridges, when I was 24, I asked myself walking across a bridge, Justin, are you an alcoholic? And I said no. But I knew deep down inside me I was, because I had a warm feeling rush up through my body. But I told myself I'm not a lowlife and I'm too smart, and that being too smart transpired into, alcohol misuse, drug addiction. And that just kept going for a very long time, longer than I planned it to. But when I was walking across that bridge and I asked myself, are you an alcoholic? I knew deep down, but I didn't want the answer, right? I didn't want an answer to a question that I thought was a bad thing, I guess. Like, alcoholics are bad people. Alcoholics are lowlifes. Alcoholics are homeless. I'm not one of them. So I avoided that answer for over 10 years until I could finally make it.
I was going to say, you do kind of naturally just be a bit in denial about it, don't you, when you're like a bit ashamed about it, because similar to like you said then with the alcohol and then starting to like cocaine and stuff when you was 24. I think I was like around a similar age. I started like smoking a lot of weed, and I become very addicted to weed. And exactly like you said then, I used to ask myself if I was addicted, and I'd lie to myself because I think I didn't want to give it up. So I'd lie to myself and be like, I'm not an addict. Like, I don't really smoke it that much. But then I'd ask myself, can I go a day without smoking it? And the answer was always like, no. Like, I had to smoke it every day. So I was going to say, like, what was it like with the drinking? Was it as soon as you get up, you'd want a drink, or was it more you'd go about your day? Was you like a functioning, is that what they call it, like a functioning alcoholic kind of? So you go about your day, come on, drink.
I was a functioning alcoholic. I would basically, I would go to work as a bartender, work from 7 till 3:30 or 6 till 3:30 in the morning or 3 in the morning or 2 in the morning. And then I'd go out and I would get hammered. And then I'd go to an after hours bar and then I'd walk home and, and where I lived, I had dial a bottle. So you get alcohol delivered to your house, right?
What's that called? Dial a bottle? Is that
dial a bottle? Yeah. So you could have it delivered to your house. And then eventually I found out, hey, they got party favors. They don't deliver alcohol. I mean, they don't announce it, right? It's just you call this number, this shady dude shows up, pops a trunk, and here's a bottle, right? And then all of a sudden, they got other stuff. Now I'm staying up till 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 in the morning, falling asleep, getting up right before work. So I basically missed the day, and do it all over. It's a vicious cycle, right? Because I'm a bartender. I'm around it. Every time I go to work, I feel like crap. I'm never doing this again. Hey, you know what? Let's get rid of this hangover. How do you get rid of a hangover? Well, you keep drinking.
Yeah.
I would do it all over again. And I ended up at the nightclubs and, it was kind of sad because I was basically going out by myself every night. I would ask people, hey, do you want to go out? Do you want to go out? And every now and then I'd get a person, but I was an alcoholic. I was out every night. Every single night. On my days off, I would spend so much money, $400 or $500, and then get as drunk as I could and basically wash those days away. And then I go out. So I was drinking every day then. And then it kind of transpired into I would get up and I'd be so hungover. I'd have the shakes. I'd have the sweats. I would have to drink to get that feeling away from my body because I would have a hard time keeping water down. I couldn't eat. But if I slowly had some drinks or if I just crushed a triple vodka water or just sometimes I drink straight from the bottle like I think I told you in that Instagram message. That's what I would do, right? To get rid of those shakes, to get rid of the anxiety and to feel normal. I had to drink to feel normal, basically.
So what you said before, Justin, about you had to, you wanted to get your feelings validated and you wanted to be the people pleaser, the clown and all that stuff. Did that come from like your childhood? Because you needed your feelings validated when you're an adult. Like, why were they not validated when you were a child? Is that why you sought them out in later life?
Well, yeah. So growing up, I was shorter. I was smaller than everybody else. I was a late bloomer, and I played sports growing up, and I tried out for all these hockey teams. I only made 3 of the teams that I tried out for, and I always had to watch my buddies play. And one time I was driving with my stepdad and my stepbrother, and he asked if I would fight my stepbrother. I was 10 years old, and I said, sure. Well, he pulled off the road and said, get out and fight. And my stepbrother was probably about 6, 7 inches taller than me at that time. And I was scared. And, I felt like a coward, and I put my head down and told him to take me home. And, that kind of made me feel weak and powerless. And in high school, I've been shoved in a locker, shoved in a garbage can. Garbage can I think I deserved because I was probably lipping off the grade 10s. But then I was whipped in PE class with a wet towel so hard by a guy that was bigger than me. He was a fighter in the school, and I was bleeding. I had a bruise, and I felt powerless to do anything about it because I was scared. And I had all these feelings of not being good enough in sports, which I wasn't bad. Like I still was a really good athlete, but I wasn't as good as my buddies. And not feeling good enough there, feeling weak, that I took those and I walked through those feelings. I put them in a bag, put them on my back, and I walked through my life with that. Even when I got out of high school, I still had those feelings. I started to get a cocky attitude, but I had this cocky attitude with no self-esteem. And that's why I had the cocky attitude, right? It was making up for something that I lacked. And what I lacked was confidence. What I lacked was self-love. What I lacked was self-worth. And, so I tried to make up for it with, a little bit of a cocky attitude, right? And so I, tried to show off and I would use alcohol to relax. And I actually had an algorithm, hey, I got to have this many drinks before I leave my house. I have to have this many drinks when I get to the bar before I talk to this girl. This many shots before I talk to or go on the dance floor. Like I always was drinking to get to another level of confidence, which is it's super weird. But that's what I needed to do, and I just one after another, and all of a sudden I'm blacking out and not knowing how I made it to my bed and waking up at 6 p.m. at night, and it's time to go to work.
Fucking
such a vicious cycle, it sounds like. But I suppose when you're in it, like when you're presently in it, you're not going to see that, are you, until you're on the outside looking in. So it's hard to identify that there is an issue, because I bet that seems so normal to you. Like that's that's your life. That's Justin's life. Yeah, I get up, I have this many drinks, I got to work, and then I do it all over again. Did anyone try and like intervene, like your parents or friends, or was it just? Were they just like, yeah, he's just being Justin, yeah, sound?
Well, at that time I was living downtown Vancouver, which is it's a beautiful city right on the west coast, right on the ocean, and it's full of nightlife, right? And I lived right downtown, so I lived in the nightlife, So it was get off work, go out, and the people knew that I drank too much, but they didn't really say anything back then. I was 24 years old, and it wasn't until 4 years later when I moved back home to Salmon Arm that they're like, hey man, like you drink too much. Like you should probably get help. And, that's when I asked for help at 28. And then I found out about mental health, right? So at 24 years old, there was, there's a time where I ignored my drinking problem, but there was a time at 24 as well where I was talking with a buddy about depression, and I told him it was for the weak. It's excuse, you got to man up, right? Because I still had that feeling of less than that I was dealing with. And so at 24 years old, I'm ignoring my mental health and I'm ignoring my substance abuse issues. And I finally asked for help at 28, and then I learned about depression, right? And then I was diagnosed with clinical depression. I was diagnosed with anxiety and ADHD. And I was like, well, I really need help. But it took me 6 years. It's 362 Mondays or something like that, or I forget. That it took 312 maybe. It took me to quit using. Like I've been in and out of rehab a couple times. The first time I got in a car accident, my girlfriend was pregnant. So I'm like, okay, well I need to go get help. And I went and got help. And the first thing I did, I'm in a house full of 60 other men. First thing I said when I get out of those 35 days away was, I'm not done drinking forever. Well, you can probably guess what happened. We have our kid. I start using. She leaves. So I watched my world walk out that door, and then I just went on that path. Like at that point, I started to get suicidal, and I was like, this kid deserves a father better than me. He doesn't need a dad that keeps using and is going to miss time with him because he's, I was ended up in the hospital with alcohol poisoning. I was shaking, my hands were going numb, and I had IVs in my arms. And my son had to witness that. And I just thought I'm like, man, he deserves something better than me. And then I just kept going down that path. People think, well, you have a kid, you're going to change. Well, when I found out I was going to have a kid, I was like, shit, like this kid, I don't want him to be like me. Like, what if he becomes like me? He deserves way better than me. You're supposed to find out when you have a kid that, hey, man, this is awesome. I'm so excited. This is going to be awesome. But I was scared. I mean, every parent probably has that scared mentality a little bit, but I was scared he's going to be like me. But that didn't change me. I would go months sober, and then I'd hit that bottle again, and all of a sudden I'm binge drinking. So I stopped the everyday drinking, but then I went to binge drinking. And when I started, I literally could not stop. I would black out, and then all of a sudden, 3 days later, I'd come coherent and be like, holy, what just happened? Well, I made 1 billion phone calls to friends and stuff, and I pick up alcohol, not knowing how I got it. I remember, I think I traded a gift card or something that I had at the store. I'm like, here's a $50 gift card, give me that $40 bottle. And, okay, well, here we go.
You just made $10. You're welcome.
And I got a bottle of vodka. And then I'd go home and I'd start drinking it straight again. And it took me a very long time before I actually finally, got help and accepted that I needed to make a change. Along my way, there was one time, like I got so suicidal that I woke up one day and there was a knife in my bed. My wrist was cut and there's blood everywhere. And I'm like, what the? And I got embarrassed and I didn't tell anybody. I was like, holy cow! But it didn't scare me enough to change. I put all those, those rubber bracelets that you get. Well, I started to wear a bunch of those on my wrists. I went into my mom's cupboard and just got her makeup and just put it on so nobody would see it. And I finally ended up becoming an organ donor because I was preparing my body to give it to someone. Because I thought, I'm like, there's Justin, you have all these gifts. People love you. You got family that loves you. You're athletic. You're smart. You don't deserve what you have. So I became an organ donor to, pass my body on. And it wasn't until one day I woke up. It was January 4th, 2019. And I'm like, Justin, you have two choices here. You can either continue to do what you're going to do, and your son's going to lose his father. I'm sitting around looking at pictures of him everywhere in my house and looking at his stuff on the floor. And I'm like, or you can change, you'd ask for help, and become that dad that he needs. And on January 4th, 2019, I phoned my mom and said, hey, take me to the hospital. And, on that day, I said out loud how I actually felt. And, that took half the weight off my back. But ever since then, I've been, 5 years sober. And actually back together with the mother of my son. And we welcomed a baby girl.
Wow. Yeah. Congrats, man. That's so good.
That's mint. No, you had something to say.
No, it is. It's amazing. The fact that you've even, like you said, kind of went through that and then lost your partner, lost your son. Like you said, a lot of people would have just fully spiraled and then not recovered from it. But it's amazing that you've actually ended up getting back together and you've had another child as well.
Yeah, I'm very fortunate that she kind of, I hurt her a lot. And I maybe even turned her away from guys. She still loved me. But she knew that she didn't want our son to grow up around my using.
Yeah,
right? So of course. She didn't want our son to be around that. And, so she was smart to leave. And then eventually, after I got sober, we got back together and we have a 2.5-year-old baby girl now. And it's definitely, you look back on it and you have to feel gratitude. And like, I know I've lost a cousin to overdose. I lost a best friend to overdose. And, in the last 2 years, I know 2 people have committed suicide. And, I've lost probably 10 more friends to overdoses. It's just, I feel lucky and I feel grateful to be able to, have this conversation with you guys today and be able to be in my son and my daughter's and, my partner's life now.
100%. I was going to ask, do you think it's fair to say that you struggle to see your self-worth, like in your younger life then? Do you know, like when you started to drink and stuff? Do you know where the drinking kind of stemmed from? Like, was your parents drinkers, or do you think it was... I know you mentioned before about having a stepdad, and he did that thing where he said he took you on the side of the road and asked you to fight your brother and stuff, so I'm guessing from that you didn't have the best upbringing from your stepdad. So do you think maybe that's...
Yeah, he drank a lot, right? And it told my mom, and I ended up leaving to go live with my dad. So they broke up when I was 8, and I think it was 2 years later or 3 years later that I ended up going to live with my dad because I couldn't handle it. And my mom's like, you know what, you probably should, because she could see that I hated living there. And then alcohol was just, it was everywhere, right? It's on TV, it's in commercials, it's in movies, it's if you're an athletic guy, you go to a sporting event, the chances are you're drinking, right?
Yeah.
You go out for dinner, you're drinking. You watch a movie, they're drinking. What alcohol is celebrated everywhere. Alcohol is actually the only drug in the world that you have to explain or stick up for yourself why you don't use it.
Yeah. And then when you say you don't, people just assume that you have been an alcoholic and you don't drink for that reason.
Yeah, you're some sort of weirdo. Can't trust that guy. He doesn't drink.
Yeah, I've actually heard people say that.
Yeah, well, I feel the same way about people that don't eat meat, though. Just kidding.
You are.
But, yeah, no, definitely. Self-worth. I couldn't see my value, right? I couldn't see the good things in me. So I made fun of myself. And then when I found alcohol relaxed me. It made me more outgoing, which I thought, but it made me a little bit, it made me make bad decisions, right? And I knew it made me make bad decisions. So, did alcohol make me make those decisions? Well, kind of. I still made them, and I knew that by drinking, I could possibly make those bad decisions. So, I found drinking it was like my antidepressant. It was my cortisone shot. It was my numbing cream. Like, it was everything I needed to get rid of the pain that I was going through.
Yeah, Jay grew up a lot around alcohol, didn't you, mate? Like, being everywhere. His mum and dad they're still alcoholics, and it's a mad sort of, well, it's a good thing that he actually hasn't turned into one, because like you were growing up and just it was everywhere, weren't it? Like, your life was built around it, weren't it?
I think like what you were just saying then, just in like growing up, it was just everywhere, and I think you can either go one way or the other, and you can either kind of follow in them footsteps and start like loving drink yourself, and then you end up spiraling and being the exact same, or I think you can go the opposite way. And I think for me, I did drink quite a bit when I was at like university, which I think would be like college in Canada. And yeah, started to drink more and more, and then I don't know, I think I just didn't really take to it as much, and I think it's because I had bad memories of it with my parents. But then I think I developed that addictive personality, and that's where I started like smoking like weed and shit like that. But yeah, I think I just had a bad relationship with it, and I kind of do now, in the sense of like I'm not really that bothered, like I can have a beer or 2 beers and then I can stop. Whereas I know obviously some people it's different, but that's like me for weed. When I used to smoke weed, I couldn't just have it like, like have a joint and then chill. Like, I'd have to like smoke it, and then I'd end up smoking it daily and stuff like that. So yeah, like you said, it's just up around that kind of stuff. And we don't drink in the house now, and I've got 2 girls. And I was when I went to a supermarket, like it was about a year ago or something, I think was buying alcohol for someone as a gift, and I was with my eldest daughter, who's now 7, and I walked down the alcohol aisle with her, and she said, "I've never been down this aisle before." And I was like, well, it's just because me and mummy don't really drink. And I thought to myself, like, how nice is that she actually said, "I've never seen any of this kind of stuff before." Yeah. And we go to that shop like 2-3 times a week. Whereas me growing up, I spent my life on fucking beer aisles.
Mate, you knew all the deals.
No, I did.
Like, look, guys, 3 for 2.
Yeah.
Tuesdays, we gotta go here. Gotta go to this supermarket.
Yeah.
Exactly. Fuck me.
Yeah. No, that's cool, man, and I definitely respect that. There's a story of 2 brothers, and they both grew up with an alcoholic, abusive dad. Now, one went to jail, one became a lawyer, and when they were asked, "Why did you turn out this way?" they both said, "Do you know who my father was?" So you can go one or 2 ways. You grow up with that. You can take that way. You grow up with it, or you can go that way. And now it's pretty cool. Now you grew up with that, and you picked the good way. Your daughter's going to grow up with it and say, "Hey, what? Drinking it's not a big thing. It's not cool." Like my son, he's never seen me drunk. He's never seen me have a beer. I mean, I don't think he's ever seen me have a drink, because he was 2, but I don't think he's ever seen me actually drink. And he knows that I had a problem with it. He's 8. He'll be 9 in November. But one day he's going to read my book. And, he's going to be like, "Holy cow." But,
so is your book like an autobiography then? Or is it kind of just like, because it's called Chasing Shadows, isn't it?
So it's an autobiography / personal development book. So I do have a couple life coaching courses under my belt, and, a lot of experiences, you could say. Going in and getting in and out of trouble, and picking the wrong life to hang out with the wrong kind of people, and I know I picked that life just to gain power, right, and to be around it a lot, so I had access to it all the time. But so it's a book. It's during alcohol, after alcohol, and then learning lessons, right? So it's broken into 3 different parts. There's a question at the end of every chapter that you can answer, and hopefully you can get to something that you're looking for at the end of the book, but it's also chocked with learning lessons about, like self-limiting beliefs and changing your internal dialogue and the human needs, that we all have. Now there's the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and then there's a Tony Robbins, positive psychology human needs. And I went with his because, there's 6 different styles or 6 different levels. And, he said something to me that really got me. And so there's certainty, like everyone needs certainty in their life. They need variety, surprise. Certainty is like your biological needs, like your food, your water, your shelter, stuff like that. And then there's variety, which is surprise, excitement. Then there's significance. You need to matter in life. You need to. Then there's love and connection. Like we all want to be loved by someone. We want to be able to connect with people. Those are for human survival. And then the next 2 are growth, right? If you stop growing, you die. You need to learn more things. And then there's contribution. You want to be able to give back more than who you are, right? And so those are for human fulfillment. Now, he said out of those 6, if 4 of those meet one, or if one thing that you do meets 4 of those needs, then it can become an addiction. And I was like, geez, like alcohol fulfilled everything. It fulfilled all of my needs. It's so I went with I explained the human needs and I how to watch out for them, and then I give examples of, okay, this is what it did for me, and I go over mental health coping mechanisms and how the stages of addiction, how to look at it, and the degrees of change and all that kind of stuff. So it's autobiography / personal development book, and it's hopefully you can go through it and find out something that may not have been bugging you. Maybe it's something that's hidden underneath your rock that, holy cow, this is what I need to talk about, or this is something that I've been dealing with that I need to bring to the surface.
Yeah, that sounds mint. How did you go about like making a book? Did you just sit down one day and just start typing away and then?
So, I started taking notes on it, and I started listening. I like to listen to motivational speaking, and if something pertained to my life, I'd take a little quick note of it, and I'm like, oh, well, this is what happened to me, right? And then I started taking a bunch of notes, and finally my buddy's like, you need to write a book. I don't know. He's like, write a book now. All right. I wrote a book. And it was quite the experience of, I still haven't read it, and it'll be a year. And I'm going to probably start to read it on my year anniversary date, because it's heavy. It's a lot. And, I travel to speak, I do podcasts, and you're just reliving it and reliving it and reliving it. Now I know I'm not there anymore, but, those feelings are 5 years ago. That's not too far away, right? And so I haven't read the book yet, but I'm going to read it again. And, it was a cool experience and a daunting one at the same time, but I'm glad I did it because I've had responses like "thank you" and it's helped people, and that's the biggest thing.
Yeah, I've seen some reviews on Amazon that people have left. So I was looking at that as well. Detective work.
That's so good.
And there's not a bad comment on there saying like this book's helped me through this, or great book, Justin. And there's so many positive comments on. I think there's about 150 or something like that. I was just scrolling down, and there was one that stuck out, which I wanted to speak about because it's very, what's the word now? No, not poet. I don't know what I mean. But you talk a lot about it on the podcast as well, which is about people finding their why. Because people can say, I want to do this, right? How are you going to achieve it? What do you want it for? And then all the other adjectives, but they don't focus on the why. And I remember you saying on the podcast, I can't remember which one it was, but your why was your son at the time, and now it's obviously your daughter as well. They're both your whys. And it's like just an opinion of mine, but I think some men, if they know they're doing good and it's positively impacting somebody else, they're more inclined to do it than if it's just a selfish thing. Like if you're just doing something for yourself as a man, you're probably not going to stick to it. But if it impacts your children on a positive scale, you're going to want to do it more. And I just think men tend to be wired that way, that they're when they're giving, they are the better version of themselves because we're designed to provide. So, just wanted your opinion on that thought pattern.
Fucking waffled a bit there, didn't you?
Well, it's
Only joking.
fucking hell. Next one.
No, you delivered that well.
Fucking Justin nearly fell asleep then.
No, hey, you know what? I think you're right on point. And I found in coaching people that a lot of parents, they have a hard time doing it for themselves, or they have a hard time doing it for themselves, or putting themselves first, right? But when it gets down to it, it's easier to help other people than it is yourself.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
as a man, you're not going to hear them often say, "Hey man, what are you doing? You want to come over for a beer? You want to come work on my truck, or you want to go hit some balls?" No, you know what, man? I got to take a second to get my shit together. Get my thoughts together. I got to do some gratitude. I got to go to a counseling appointment. I got to go to the doctors. I have a problem. No, they're gonna be like, all right, I can push that away. Well, let's go be with my buddies. Or, hey man, can you come help me work on this? You're not very often going to hear a man be like, well, actually, I need to get help. Right?
Yeah.
It's because they don't want to be seen weak or something by their buddies. When, I like to think that most guys would actually be more accepting if their buddies said it. I think a lot of it is in guys' heads. Like, oh, my buddy's going to see me as weak, when, any guy that I've told, I've never had somebody be like, oh, man, you're weak, bro.
No.
Like
you said, though, I think when you was 24, you had that mindset of, it's like, I can't remember exactly what you said, but you're saying like mental health and
is for the
man up and all that kind of shit. Do you know what I mean? And that's obviously a few years back. But we was exactly the same. Like years ago, we'd be like, oh, man up, like fucking mental health, like for pussies and all shit like that. Whereas like even now, and I think the thing that manifested it in both of us was also having kids, and that is our why massively. And I think, like you said as well, like the thing for me, like I think sometimes you have to like lose the thing that's most important for you to kind of give you that kick up the arse. And like you said, yours was obviously like your missus leaving you, and then your son like worrying that you weren't going to be a good role model and all kind of stuff like that, and feeling like it didn't deserve that as a dad. And I can completely resonate with you, because I went through exactly the same thing. Like exactly, except mine weren't because of alcohol. Mine was more like that generational kind of trauma shit of generational cycle. Sorry, and I was like repeating pattern behavior from my childhood, and like I've got like OCD, so I was like doing a lot of like kind of OCD traits around the house, and like all that kind of stuff, and making my partner kind of walk on eggshells and shit like that. And then I was always, like you said before, like I'd be going counselling and be doing all these things, working on my mental health, but I was probably a bit in denial at the same time. Whereas now, it's like my partner like left me, similar to you, lost my kids. Not like fully lost them, but kind of like 50-50 custody. So it was like you don't see them as much, and then you're on your own for like half the week. And for me, it was just the biggest wake up call. And I was like, I need to sort my fucking head out. And then you naturally do just start working on yourself. And then both me and Ryan have both always said like this podcast has massively helped us, because we do weekly chats with like complete strangers, but we've all walks in life. And me and Ryan learn so much every single week talking to like amazing fucking people that we've just met for the first time. But I lost my train of thought then. But I was just saying, like it's just crazy like how similar paths we kind of are on, in terms of like you said, like you have to lose shit to then go away, work on yourself, like and all stuff like that. Even what you said about high school, like acting up after school and showing off for that validation and shit like that. You made a really good point, and I'd never thought of it like that. But you said that's probably why you was doing that, because you didn't have that confidence or whatever, or that love from your childhood, I think you said. And that's why you was doing that, because you was like masking that insecurity and stuff. And I've never actually thought about it like that, but I think I did the exact same thing. It was just an act to like cover the fact that I weren't confident. And then as I got older, that cockiness faded away because I naturally matured, and then the anxiety kind of rolls back up then, and I was like, oh shit, like I can't be cocky anymore to mask it. And that's something my partner said when we split up. She was like, I miss how you used to be when you was younger. I was like, but I was being a dick when I was younger and like showing off. And do you know what I mean? And I'm like, that's not the right type of person now as a dad. I won't want to be like that. Do you know what I mean? And I said when we was younger and I was being a dick, way back when I was in my teens, I said I was fucking probably like shagging a different girl every week and stuff like that. And I said, you don't want that now as a partner. Do you know what I mean? But do you know what I mean? Like, see, it's one of them. I went off on a bit of a rabbit hole there.
Yeah, I thought I waffled, fucking hell. But there was a question off the back of that, Justin, is how can people find their why? Like, is there a method that you would talk about in your talks for people to have the ability to do it themselves?
Okay, well, I'm going to ask, there are two parts. One, for yours, some people have to hit rock bottom.
Yeah.
And, to be able to change, I had to lose everything, right? And almost my life before I changed. And I'm one of the lucky ones that hit rock bottom, but started to build a foundation on that rock bottom. And so two, for me to build that foundation on rock bottom, and my foundation was built on medication, on coping mechanisms, on asking for help, on counseling, on, changing my beliefs, changing my behaviors. All that was my foundation underneath. But the top of that foundation, the roof, I guess you could say, or the floor, was my why. And that why was my son. So I had to ask myself, okay, Justin, what is your why? Because I heard all these motivational speakers like Inky Johnson, Les Brown, Eric Thomas, like Trent Shelton, all these guys. What is your why? And I started asking myself, okay, Justin, what is your why that's going to pick you up when you fall down? What is your why that's going to make you do the things that you don't want to do? What is your why that's going to allow you to get uncomfortable and motivate you to get better? And that was my son. And a lot of people, they're going to say you have to do it for yourself. And yeah, I mean, if you can. But for a lot of guys like me, a lot of the guys I went to rehab with, a lot of the guys or people that don't see their self-worth, you got to find a why. And then you got to grab it. You got to take it with you everywhere. Because here's the thing about the why. It always comes back on you, right? I got better for my son. I got better for me. And like you heard in that podcast, I have more than one why. I have my son, I have my daughter, I have my wife, I have the people that I'm trying to help. I have my why is my mission, and I also have myself, right? And I am one of my own whys now because I know the good that I can bring. I know the father that I can be, and I know the partner that I could be, the husband that I can be, that I want to be. And that's which means I'm still working on all of it. Like I'm not perfect. I'm far from it. I mean, I'm still 5 years out of wanting to die. Like I still have them going to counseling, right? And I'm on medication, and I still have things I need to deal with. But I have more than one why now, and I know the importance of the power of why.
Definitely. I fully agree with everything you said there, especially the part of when you said your son was your why at the time. Like, that's exactly what I said when I went through my breakup. I was like, I'm going to change, I'm going to do this for my daughters and for you. Like, I'm saying that to my partner. And she was like, but you need to do it for yourself. And I was like, but I am doing it for myself by doing it for you, because that's going to do it for myself in the long run. It's a bit like a fucking riddle in it, but I was essentially doing it for myself, but I was doing it for them guys, because if I didn't have them, I probably just would have carried on being the way I was. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, we all have a breaking point, or a time in our lives where, well, hopefully you get to that point where you're just like, okay, enough is enough. I'm better than this.
Yeah.
Or you'll lose everything and you continue to slide, right? And it all comes down to that. I think we're all aware of what we're doing, but it's admitting that we need to make the change. Because once you admit it to yourself, then you feel guilty if you don't.
Yeah.
So, okay, I have this problem. Now it's in the back of your head because you admitted it to yourself. So then you have to accept it. Okay, this is my reality. And then you got to ask for help. And, it's tough to ask for help. But once you admit it, man, if you don't do anything about it, that thing's going to eat you alive. And that's where the guilt and the shame comes in. And the guilt, the difference between guilt and shame is guilt is you did something bad, but shame is you are bad. Right? And when you continually do things that you shouldn't, that hurt other people, hurt yourself, that aren't healthy for you, and you continually keep things in that you should talk about, that it's going to eat you from the inside out, and that's where the shame comes from.
Yeah, like if you make it once, it's a mistake. If you make it like several times after, then it's a problem. Yeah. Shit, now.
I was going to say, like, completely random. This isn't obviously in the script. So do you still is your stepdad still in your life, or?
No, he actually passed away.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, that was a couple of years ago. But I hadn't seen him in ages.
Yeah,
I still his son and daughter. I've like his son. Like we still consider each other brother sister. We don't talk all the time, but like we still kind of consider each other brother sister, stepbrother stepsister kind of thing. But I seen him once or twice in the last 20 years.
Oh shit. No, I was just going to ask if, like, obviously, I know you mentioned that about your childhood. I was going to see if, like, obviously things had kind of sorted out or just stuff like that, really. But yeah, no, sorry to hear that. But
thank you.
Yeah, I was going to say, other than that, like, do you feel like when you look in the mirror now, do you feel like you kind of like the person you are currently?
Yeah, but sometimes I see that person that that I still fight evil inside, and I was actually just talking with a buddy on the phone yesterday, who's going through some shit, and I'm like, man, you know what? I still fight some of the evil. I still fight some of those shadows. So, like, I can still get angry, like angrier than I should be, and angry at little things that shouldn't bother me, and that's why I made the decision to go back to counseling, right? Because I still have that evil inside that I need to fight. And, I know I don't need to fight it alone. But I do like the person I'm becoming. Because for so long, I built a version of me that I hated, that I didn't respect, right? And so, and it all comes down to eventually acceptance of, others, but acceptance of yourself. And that can be hardest because, how many times has someone hurt you and you forgave them? But when was the last time you forgave yourself?
Yeah.
For something you did, right? And so, I go up and down. Like, I've accepted my past for my past. And sometimes I'm like, you need to give yourself that a little bit of extra self-love. And I know I'm definitely on the way to the man that I want to be.
That's good. I seen a post on Instagram that said, it's the love you daddies that keep you going that much more. Of your kids.
Mm-hmm.
Literally brought a tear to my eye because it's so fucking true. Like, you might be having like a shit day or whatever, and you put them to bed and they say, love you, daddy. It's just like, right, well, tomorrow's getting fucked up in a good way because I've just got that. You know what I mean? That keeps you on like the right path to be a good dad and stuff like that.
I don't have time to drink, man. My kid plays hockey.
Kid plays hockey.
Yeah, don't put your kids in hockey. It's an expensive sport, but I'm Canadian, so it's kind of what you do.
You kind of have to do hockey if you Canada, don't you?
Don't play hockey? I kind of like soccer, really, I guess, for you guys.
If you don't play hockey as a Canadian, are you an alien if you play hockey?
Yeah. But he's going from he goes from baseball or from hockey to baseball, and he does cross country running. I don't know how he does cross country running. I don't know who likes running first part.
I used to do cross country running.
Really? Oh man, I can't stand him. He's a really good runner.
What a douche.
I'm going to try and guess your hockey team, and I have fuck all clues about hockey. Right off the top, I could be very wrong here, but I'm going to say Toronto
Maple
Leafs? No? Is it Toronto? No. I hate
that. Montreal Canadian fan.
A what?
Montreal Canadiens.
Montreal Canadiens. Right?
Yeah.
No.
What? Where are they ranking in terms of
Nah, they're not
good?
We won't talk about their rankings.
What are the Toronto ones that I said? Is it Toronto Maple Leafs?
That's right, yeah.
Are they good?
Yeah, you nailed that one. They're in the playoffs. Montreal's not in the playoffs. Let's just say that.
Right, okay. Because I was going to say, because the only thing I really know about Canada is through Justin Bieber, because he's obviously Canadian.
Yeah,
And
he's from
I know he
Toronto.
loves, yeah, Toronto. Yeah, and I know he loves like hockey. I know I love Tim Hortons. I think that's Canadian, isn't it?
Yeah, that's Canadian. Do you guys have Tim Hortons?
We do, but it's only just started popping up over here in the last few years. But like,
Okay.
I love the is it the French vanilla bean lattes? Have you ever had them before? The coffees,
I
but
have.
French vanilla. Oh, they're so good. They're
Oh,
quite sweet though. But they're so
Yeah,
tasty.
I try to stick to black coffee if I can because honestly, man, I am an addict, and ever since I quit drinking, sugar has been my nemesis. Like, I didn't eat much sugar before I quit. When I was drinking, because there's sugar and alcohol. But when I quit drinking, man, it's sugar. It's that dopamine replacement, right? And
Really?
I go up and down in sugar, so I try to drink just straight black coffee when I drink coffee. And it's disgusting.
No, it is. I went through a phase of drinking it, and it's not nice.
I'm going through that phase now, and I'm telling myself I like it, but it's fucking hanging.
Yeah, it's grim.
But it's
I don't
suppressing
mind like hot black coffee out of a coffee mug, but I find it's different in a paper cup.
Good different or bad different.
Yeah, I like bad different. I'd rather have it in a mug.
Yeah.
And it has to be hot, like piping hot. When it cools down,
Oh man,
yeah.
I'm such
yeah, it goes.
My wife makes fun of me. We'll get
Why would
coffee,
you, like,
and I
put
won't
under
drink
the
mine
bowl?
for like 30 minutes. She'll have hers done because it's too hot for me.
Oh wow, that's
It
mint.
is that same.
Oh, she jerks me.
Justin, do you know part of your like self-regulation and stuff is the gym and staying fit physically a big part of that, a big part of your like medicine, so to speak.
Yeah, 100%. Gym has been my best antidepressant. I didn't really start working out until about 10 years ago. And, when I work out, that's when I listened to motivational speaking, and that's when I found the power of why. It was when I was working out and listening to motivational speaking, and I heard all these speakers talk about why, but I like to listen to audible books, motivational speaking, and, just tune out to some good music, and, I don't like talking to people at the gym. It's like, do my workout, and then just focus on me there. And I kind of like to call it my learn and grow. Listen to books or speaking and just learn from or podcasts, even guys like me, what they did and what they did to get better. How they felt, what moment they were at, their turning point, and then what they did to combat it.
Aside from your own book, do you have a favorite book or one that you would like recommend?
Oh, geez. Start with Why by Simon Sinek is a good one. I can't remember. Man's Search for Meaning is good by Viktor E. Frankl, if you guys know who he was. He was is a psychologist or psychiatrist that was in... He was a Jew who survived the Holocaust. And he talks about... so the people that saw a purpose for everything on the other side, he said they kind of like made it through, and they were the stronger ones. So he talks about Man's Search for Meaning, and he talks about it. It's a tough book to listen to, so I like to listen to audible books. David Goggins' book is good, depending on the kind of headspace you're at, because he's one of those anomaly guys, right? Like, he's obsessive, but he gets what he wants. So if you can pick and choose from David Goggins' book, Can't Hurt Me, that one's not bad. But you got to be careful with that, right? Because some people can't just turn off their depression. You can't turn off your anxiety and just go accomplish mountains, right? So that one can be tough, but it goes to show you the determination and the will that we do have inside of us. The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks is on the glass ceiling and that we put on ourselves and getting over that glass ceiling. Happiness Advantage is good. Mindset by Carol Dweck. Like these are all good books. And just try to take something from everything.
Yeah, defo.
Yeah, I read a lot of books while I'm like walking and stuff. I'm reading one at the minute called Essentialism.
Oh, by Greg Keown.
That's fun, yeah. Yeah, I'm only like 2 chapters in, and it's fucking brilliant. Just about stripping your life back to the essentials, and if it's not going to benefit you in a positive way, you remove it. You don't give it any energy anymore, and it's just streamlining your life and your progress, stuff like that. And it's fascinating. I'm really enjoying reading it.
I read a lot of Audible books.
Yeah, I can't sit there and read it. I have to go for a mooch and listen to a book.
Is your book on Audible, Justin? Like, to be able to listen?
Yet, but I want to update it. I was gonna put it on Audible, and then I'm like, so I wanted to get it out before my grandfather passed because he was my biggest role model in life. And
nice.
So I wrote it fast, and I got it moving within 6 months from start to finish. It was done.
Shit!
Wow.
It's written, edited, printed.
Did you do it all on like Microsoft Word? Like type it out?
Yeah, I put it in Word, and then I transferred it to Google Docs, and then I got it. Actually, a lady out of England edited it for me.
No way.
Yeah, and then I got it published by Telwell. But, I like to go back and make it better. Right?
Yeah.
It's a heavy book. I've had people, they had to put it down. They couldn't get through the introduction. So
no way.
They had to skip chapters, and I had one friend who's dyslexic, and she almost read the whole book. She has ADHD and she's dyslexia, and she almost read the whole book in a day. But I want to go back in and do more research on my learning lessons and fill it in more with how I was feeling too. But it does cover a lot of feelings. But before I put it on Audible, I want to update it more.
Yeah, well, this is where the second book comes out, mate. This is where you do it again. Book number 2.
Oh, it might be one in the works.
Give the people what they want.
Yeah, this one would be it'd be dedicated to my son.
Yeah, nice.
That's awesome. I've got one final question for you.
Sure.
Which, if you met your future self and they could only say one sentence to you, what would you want them to say?
I'm proud of you.
That's it. Boom. Move on. Love it. What an answer.
I missed it. What did you say? Sorry.
I'm proud of you.
Oh, I'm proud. Nice. I thought you said why at first. It's like,
why?
How many times have we said why?
Stop being podcast?
A turd. Oh no, it's been fucking mint, mate. Like, I'm amazing to meet you, and I love everything that you're doing. And thank you for your time and everything. Really appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for having me on. One of the coolest things about struggling and going through what I went through is, and I've never changed any of it, is being able to speak, to students, to adults, and teach them stuff, give them hope, inspiration. But being on podcasts with people I never would have met ever.
Yeah.
If I didn't go through what I went through, I never would have met you guys, and that's probably one of the coolest parts of of the things I went through. And I'm very grateful for the opportunity to come on and meet you guys. And I never guessed you would have had kids because you guys look like you're about 22. So
we get that a lot.
You flatter us, sir.
If you would get rid of your mustache there, you'd probably look even younger.
That's why I've got the mustache.
Yeah, just like this, because I'm 40. But you can tell the pepper, the salt coming through the pepper.
The salt. You don't look 40
to run away from my forehead.
It's trying to escape.
Yeah, it's leaving. It's running. Not too much longer before I probably go bald. Oh, it's so depressing.
Are you just going to embrace it, Justin?
Well, that's the next. I talk about acceptance, and I think that's I had to accept I couldn't drink. I had to accept help from my mental health, and I had to accept that I have small calves and they're never going to grow. And now I have to accept that I'm losing my hair.
There you go. Put it in book number 2.
Either that, or you'll see on his story that he's booked a flight to Turkey. I'm fighting against
calves.
fuck acceptance.
Yeah. I'm 6'3", 230 with little calves.
Oh man, that must be a tough pill to swallow. That
It is. I gotta become a soccer player. Maybe I get bigger calves, but then I'd have to run, so that's not gonna happen.
Is cardio a big no? Just lift massive.
Let's just say it's not my favorite.
No,
Yeah.
It's no one's favorite to do that, but it's an essential.
Yeah, it's essential for your health. Yep.
Heart is the muscle they need to work out the most.
And your gut is your second brain.
It's true. Right, Justin, you've been amazing, mate. Thank you very much for your time, and we'll stay in touch, man. And have an amazing rest of your Friday.
Thank you. You as well.
All the best, bud. You take care.
Okay, see you later, boys. Oh wait,
See you later.
I want to take a photo.
Oh, nice.
Go for it.
1 sec.
Smile.
I'll tag you guys. Oh, that's myself. Oh, there we go.
Oh shit, it actually froze.
There we go. No, you're good now.
Oh, nice one, Justin.
Perfect.
Just gonna put
Those
the-
handsome devils. I'm gonna put you on my stories, and all the girls are gonna get excited.
Oh, screenshot the DMs and send them our way, Justin.
Sounds good. Okay, boys. Have a good rest of your day. Keep in touch.
Nice one, man. See you later, buddy.
See you later. Bye bye.